Okay, well, I guess the broadcast is live.
We are live, Parker. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. Today, like I said, I just got done finishing. I just got done watching the Chicago Cubs and my Cardinals. It was a real nail biter.
Yeah, that is one of the greatest rivalries in all of professional
Mhm.
sports, I
Oh
believe.
yeah, yeah.
It's right there. Of course, I'm a little bit partial thinking of Red Sox, Yankees.
Well,
Uh,
that's all right. That's a good rivalry too.
well, both two very good rivalries, and it's something to behold of 19 times a year.
I know, and I think next year one of our rivalry games is going to be in London.
Yes, yes, the London series, the Red Sox and the Yankees did it 2 or 3 years ago, and then everything happened,
It
of
was
course, with
19,
COVID,
19, and
2019. Yeah.
then last year you guys did the Field of Dreams game.
The
No,
Yankees did the Field of Dreams game.
yes,
We
I'm
played
sorry.
against the White Sox, and Tim Anderson had the big walk off. The Yankees came all the way back from being down 3 or 4 runs. It was a very good game. It was an epic game for sure.
Yeah, I'm not too sad. I'm not real sad about what happened to the Yankees today.
Yes, they got no hit today.
Yes, they did.
Yes,
By how many pitchers?
I think it was a combined no hitter.
Yeah, it was. I'm trying to remember if it was two or three.
I'll have to look back at the box score real quick.
No, that's not a real. That's neither here nor there. But we were talking earlier about the forgotten championship that the Cardinals won against the Cubs, or against this franchise now known as the Cubs, in 1886. You're actually looking it up?
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm looking it up. Absolutely, I am. Let's see here. 3 pitchers.
Three pitchers. Okay.
Yeah.
So, how far out are you guys in the wild card?
The Red Sox right now are in the wild card position.
Really?
They are in the wild card position.
So, if the season were to end right now,
Yes,
you'd be in the playoffs.
we'd be in the playoffs. That's correct.
Wow, that's all right. You guys stunk at the beginning of the year. I'm sorry to say that.
No, it's okay. It's obvious. Early in the season, I think with the pitching wise, with James Paxton, not being able to come till later in the year, Chris Sale getting hurt, it took them a while to really kind of get things going.
And
Rich
Trevor
Hill
Story being on the schneid.
Yep, and Trevor Story not having a terrible beginning to his Red Sox career, of course, in the month of the end of May to June, he's started to heat up. But no, the Red Sox, if the season ended today, they'd be in the playoffs.
That's awesome, and they are postseason scary. Teams need to fear the Red Sox in the postseason.
Yeah, they I think top to bottom they can compete with a lot of teams.
Yeah.
Specifically
As
pitching.
I found out last week.
Yeah. Yes, at Fenway. Yes.
Eh.
And then your Cardinals, are going to be right there too in the National League. I believe.
Oh yeah.
That they're pitching top to bottom. I think at the deadline could use another arm, but outside of that,
yours or us?
both. I think both teams could use a starter.
Mm-hmm.
Just based on if somebody gets hurt or someone's not pulling their weight.
Right.
But I think every single year, no matter what team you are, you're in the hunt. Extra pitching doesn't hurt. So.
Yeah, I've been watching Waino the last few starts. He is just. I think he is totally lost without Yachty.
Yeah, well, he has that relationship with him, right? Built
Right.
for 15+ years, whether they've been together. It's tough to throw against somebody else. I don't have personal experience with it, but I can imagine every single time you're out there, you're throwing to somebody, and all of a sudden they're not there. It's got to be difficult.
Yeah, but I think 200 wins for him is looking less and less likely. But nevertheless, I think he's had a stellar career, and I do think his numbers are Cooperstown worthy. Well, borderline Cooperstown.
Well, we see a lot of guys that have great careers that have not got in. So it's kind of tough. I think the Baseball Hall of Fame, out of all the professional sports, are the most difficult to get into because of how many players played, and then also how many guys are still left behind that were never in that they're
Right.
trying
I
to win.
mean, and you've got, I mean, the Basketball Hall of Fame, which isn't too far from you.
No, I believe it's the easiest Hall of Fame to get into.
Yeah, I know. I think what they admit 50 people a year.
Seems like it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they just let people in. Yeah.
From both genders.
Yes.
I think that is the only one. That is the only one of the major sports halls of fame that admits both genders. No. The baseball Hall of Fame.
The Baseball Hall of Fame does have yes. The Baseball Hall of Fame, yes.
But the Basketball Hall of Fame has quite a few.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the I don't know if the Pro Football Hall of Fame has any.
I don't believe so on the top of my head, no.
But yeah, the Basketball Hall of Fame has quite a few women. The Baseball Hall of Fame has one. Effa Manley, 2006, is the only one.
Okay.
Yeah, that scene at the end of A League of Their Own with.
Yep, in the Baseball Hall of Fame, they have
that is not true. They were not; those ladies were not inducted. That is incorrect.
No, they do have a section in the Hall of Fame, but it's not an induction.
Right. But no, Effa Manley is the only one that was actually inducted.
Okay.
But anyway, so what's next coming up for the Red Sox? When do they face the Yankees again?
The Yankees are going to be facing them a lot at the end of the season. And those are going to be crucial games in terms of, the Yankees right now have piled up all these wins. But what happens if the Red Sox, every single time you play them, they win every single series? They're going to keep creeping back in. And then also you have to look at the Rays. You have to look at the Blue Jays. There's a lot of teams right now that are trying to hunt the Yankees. And the Yankees have lost, I think, 3 of the 4 last games. So even though they've racked up all these wins and, have been on a tear and look unstoppable, no one's unstoppable in baseball. Anybody can.
How many times have you guys played the Yankees total this year?
3 times. Just 3 times. So we have 16.
Really? Wow.
Yes, we played them on opening weekend, and we haven't seen them since.
Where did you play them?
In New York. Yep.
Oh, at Yankee Stadium. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. No, they have not come to Fenway Park.
Well, you've got to face each other like 16 or 17 more times.
16 times. Yeah.
Oh,
16 times in the span of 90-something days. So.
Wow. So are any of those in London?
Say that again.
Are any of those games going to be in London?
No. They're all in the respective ballparks of the teams.
Okay. So they're all in the United States.
Yes.
Okay, but so how many? But about the Rays and the Jays, how many more times are you playing them?
The exact number I'm not sure, but I think the Red Sox, their next 35 games or something like that, are all against teams that are above 500.
Oh wow!
The Red Sox have a difficult stretch, but if they're able to weather the storm and still be able to be in the playoff hunt come the end of July, they'll be just fine.
Well, I know with us, our June of last year was terrible. We sucked in June of 2021. We won, I think, 10 games total. I think our record was 10-17, something like that.
Wow.
This year this was our 13th win today in June. So we seem to turn it around a little bit. This year's June is a little better than last year's. But I'm looking down the stretch too. We got the Cubs a bunch more time. We haven't faced the Cubs too much this year.
Okay, so similar to the Red Sox, and
yeah, I think
we've only seen a lot of each other.
I think we've done one series at Wrigley and then another at Busch. And plus, we've got a lot of games we got to make up because we lost that week due to the lockout.
Okay.
Remember we lost. And what are some of the key series you guys have to make up due to the lockout?
So I know that they're pushed on later in the season. I forgot who the Red Sox were supposed to open up with the season, but I do believe we missed out on one AL East matchup early in the year, which is something that's going to be important. The Red Sox this year have not played that well in their division, so hopefully that's not a precursor for what's going to happen later.
Well, we will see.
But to begin the season, I think the reason why they played bad against their division is because everything was at the beginning of the year.
Right.
I mean, it was a boatload of beginning of the year, and then the vaccine situation when you have to go across the border to go play the Blue Jays has also been an issue for us.
Wait a
I
minute, what
believe the
now?
Red Sox have only been there one time, but they have to go back there after they're done with the Guardians this weekend, and that's going to be quite the challenge.
Guardians, jeez. I'm sorry. They're always going to be the Indians to me.
Yeah, it's a weird. It's definitely a different twist. I have it to like when the Redskins switched to the Washington football team. It was just kind of weird to say, but I got used to it after a year or two.
Well, the Commanders, that name makes a little sense. Why is Cleveland naming their team after two gargoyles on either side of a bridge?
I'm not really sure. Maybe it's
I know it's the Guardians of Traffic, but that's basically what those things are. They're just two gargoyles.
Yeah, that's I mean, you could go through the names of baseball former teams. Some of them didn't really make sense, but
all right. Well, ours did not. When we named our team the Cardinals, we chose the name Cardinals in 1900. People think people to this day still think we named the team after the bird because the bird is prominently featured on our logo. There are others that think we named them after the princes of the Roman Catholic Church.
Oh, okay. Oh, like a cardinal. Okay.
That's not correct. Neither one
of
those.
It's a bird. It's a bird.
It's not the bird. It's not the It's not the priests either. They were named the Cardinals because the daughter of the team's owner thought that the shade of the team's new socks were a lovely shade of cardinal. Yeah, so the bird had nothing to do with it until 1922 when Branch Rickey was attending a church service in Ferguson, Missouri.
Oh, wow.
And he saw a design. He saw a stained glass window, and it had, I think it was two cardinals perched on a branch. And he got with the father of the girl that designed the stained glass window, and they decided to create the birds on the bat logo. And that was in 1922. So the birds on the bat logo turns 100 this year.
Now I don't know if it's the AA affiliate of the Cardinals, Springfield.
That's correct.
Yeah, they kind of have a similar logo to the actual pro team.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, which I find very interesting.
Yep. There's what's also interesting is my youngest son went to school in Springfield.
Okay.
So his school was actually, he could see the ballpark from their dorm room window.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. And we've actually gone to a few games down there. It's a nice little park. It's called Hammond's Field.
Okay.
It's very, very cozy. I mean, and you have a berm area that you can sit in, like most minor league places do. And all right, so the Red Sox AAA farm team is in Worcester. What's the next level down?
AA is the
Portland,
Maine Sea Dogs.
Right, and then after that,
it's a mystery of who it is. I know one of the low affiliates is the Salem Red Sox, which is not Salem, Massachusetts.
Virginia, I know.
I don't know about the Lowell Spinners. I know that they still have their ballpark there right next to UMass Lowell, the college. I don't know. I know it's a short season team.
They were a New York Penn League team.
Yes.
They were short season A.
Yeah.
And then when minor league baseball contracted, I think the Lowell Spinners
were part of.
They were a casualty of the contraction. Yeah, unfortunately. But
now you mentioned at the beginning of the show the Forgotten World Series.
Series.
Yes, the World's Series.
Right.
You a little bit elaborate on that and tell our listeners about that because that was interesting. I never knew that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was 1882. The first one was played. It was
interesting. The National League that we know today
was founded in 1876, the 100th year of American independence. And that National League is still in operation today.
Okay.
All right, 1882. A competitive league was founded called the American Association. And a lot of the teams were based in cities by rivers, like Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, St. Louis. Other teams were added later. One of them was the Brooklyn Bridegrooms, or Brooklyn Excelsiors, or Brooklyn Atlantics, whatever they decided to call themselves any given week. Another team was the Cincinnati Reds, not the Cincinnati Reds of 1869. That team actually disbanded. That team was not reformed until 1876. They had a National League team, and then that team folded. And then in 1882, they reformed as the Cincinnati Reds. All right. Anyway, so the champions of the National League and the champions of the American Association decided to get together and have a postseason series. Now, there's something I neglected to mention earlier, that a lot of the owners in the American Association, including the owner of the St. Louis Browns, who would later become the St. Louis Cardinals, had ties to the brewing and distilling industries. And because of that, the league was informally known as the Beer and Whiskey League. Now, as opposed to the National League, the American Association charged its fans only 25 cents to get in. They played ball on Sundays, which was a blue law at the time. The National League did not play on Sundays. And they sold liquor at ballparks. Well, I mean, the owners of the teams wanted to line their own pockets by selling what they made to the fans.
Of course.
Anyway, the St. Louis Browns played in 4 consecutive World's Series, as opposed to World Series, and from 1885 to 1888. In 1885, they played the Chicago White Stockings, now called the Cubs. And the outcome was 3-3, with one game that was disputed, though it's not made completely clear why. The next year was the aforementioned Forgotten Championship, 1886. The St. Louis Browns won the Forgotten Championship 4-2. Now, I count that as one of our team's world championships. Major League Baseball counts that as one of our team's world championships. They consider the American Association to have been a major league.
Okay.
But a lot of our team's fans do not. Because it says established 1892 on a lot of our clothes.
Okay.
But that's not correct. The franchise was actually established in 1882. But anyway, so they won the world's championship in 1886. They played for the championship again the next year against the Detroit Wolverines of the National League. The Detroit Wolverine, that franchise did not become the Tigers.
Okay.
That franchise would eventually fold. They played it. It was really strange. They played it in 12 different cities, and it was 15 games. And Detroit won 10 of the games, and the Browns won 5. Now, 1887 is kind of a special year for the St. Louis franchise because we had a player from Woodstock, Ontario. His name was James Edward O'Neill, but everybody called him Tip. Now, he was our first bona fide superstar. Actually, he was our first bona fide Canadian superstar. I would call Charlie Comiskey our first bona fide superstar. Tip had a season, he had a dream season in 1887. He became the only man ever to lead the league in doubles, triples, and home runs in the same season. That's any league. And that feat has yet to be repeated. He also batted, are you ready for this? .492.
It's pretty good batting average. That's almost 500.
Wait a minute. Not so fast.
Well, were stats different back then?
Yeah. The rule in 1887 was that walks counted as base hits.
Oh, yeah. No.
Okay. Yeah, no. It's but the following year, that rule was stricken down, and his average was subsequently readjusted to .435. But
that's
still not
good.
Yeah. That's actually the highest batting average for our franchise. That's 11 points higher than Rogers Hornsby.
Okay.
But yeah, he won the Triple Crown that year too.
Now, because you are a baseball historian, I'm curious.
Please.
Out of 100-something odd years of baseball, in your opinion, what was the greatest era? A 10-year period.
Wow. I actually think the 60s were.
Okay.
Well, the Cardinals had some of their best teams statistically in the 40s. But I think
I'm talking of all of baseball.
Oh, so am I.
Yeah, okay.
Statistically, the Cardinals were good in the 40s, but it was all, I think it was kind of watered down because of the war.
Okay. Because of the availability of some of the players.
Right. A lot of players were serving in World War II. No, I think the 60s were the best era. I think the 60s you had the best hitting. I think the 60s you had the best pitching. I mean, you had, I'm sorry to say this, Black and Latino stars were really coming into their own. I mean, guys like Aaron and Mays and Clemente and Brock and Gibson, they all made baseball exciting again. I mean, they really added to it.
Roger Maris broke Babe Ruth's single
home
run record that year, or in the 60s, 61.
Yes. Now, you guys at the Impossible Dream in 67.
Yeah, fell a bit short though. That's okay though.
Yeah, to us. Yeah, you'd get your revenge 37 years later. But no, I'd say the 60s.
60s, okay. So let's go back, because again, you're a baseball historian now. I'm just thinking of all of these questions to ask you now. Instead of, I mean, a lot of shows talk about the current day baseball and talk about everything. Let's go back in the time machine. Let's go all the way back to, I believe it was 1957 or 1953. The shot heard around the world.
51.
1951.
October 3rd, 1951.
You had the Dodgers take that huge lead in the National League. And
strange thing about that date, Dave, that was the day Dave Winfield was born.
Wow. Okay. So you had the Dodgers take that big lead in the National League, and then you had the Giants just kind of keep coming. And anytime the Dodgers would lose 2 out of the 3 games in a series, the Giants would win 2 out of 3. Mm-hmm. So every single week it kept piling up. And then you had arguably one of the best postseason series. I don't think they can put it. Did they put that down as a postseason series?
Officially, no. No, officially the stats counted in the regular year.
Okay. So they played an extra 3 games.
Yes.
I think one of the fascinating parts about that whole situation and just that day is the Polo Grounds and how it's able to withstand all of those people in that ballpark
Mhm.
for the games that they did, because the Polo Grounds at that time was starting to deteriorate.
Yeah.
It was not in the greatest shape, and the fact that they are able to,
It was not in the greatest neighborhood.
yes, and it was also not in the greatest neighborhood. So the fact that they was able to withstand all that people and have that
Yeah.
great of an event is amazing. And then a fascinating point, I did not know this until a couple of years ago. That famous call that they claimed that was on radio, not as many people heard it as they originally thought.
I heard that too. I think hardly any people. I think hardly anybody heard Red Barber's version of it. He was calling the game for the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Yes. I forgot who the main person was, because
Russ
back
Hodges.
then, okay, so back then they didn't. I'm a baseball broadcaster myself.
Oh, you are? For what team?
Yes. So I've done a lot of college stuff. I went in the Cape Cod Baseball League when I was in college.
Oh, yeah.
I was with the Hyannis Harbor Hawks for a summer.
So,
that was pretty cool.
So how accurate is that movie Summer Catch?
From the year that I spent there in my childhood going to games, it's fairly accurate.
Okay. I'm talking about the movie with Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yes, and he goes on, to be with the Phillies, the whole
Yeah, and gives up a homer to Ken Griffey Jr. at the end of the very end of the movie.
I would say it's fairly accurate.
Okay.
I would say, some of the parts, are a little bit, over
Embellished.
Yeah. They tried to use a lot of the ballparks in the league as much as they could, but a good amount of them were just high school fields that they just kind of converted.
Okay.
I know the ballpark that Chatham played in, I don't think actually was Chatham Stadium, because I've been there and it looks nothing like that.
Okay.
But there's some of the ballparks that they actually did use.
So what leagues have you broadcast in? What teams have you?
So I've been in with the Futures League, which is a league in Massachusetts, with the Brockton Rocks.
Okay.
Which were a time a minor league baseball team. They are then disbanded and then became a collegiate team.
Brockton, that's Marvelous Marvin Hagler's hometown.
Yes.
And Rocky Marciano's.
And Rocky, yes. Yeah, he's got big, not a statue, but he's got his number retired out in right center field. I believe that might have been when they were a minor league team. Now that they're a collegiate team, they just kept it there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went from there. I went to the Cape Cod Baseball League with Hyannis, and I was there for a summer. In 2019, I went back to Brockton for that summer, and that was a great summer as well. The 2 years I spent in Brockton were very good because they were right close to my house. I lived like 25 minutes away from the ballpark. It was easy. When I was in the Cape Cod Baseball League, I had to live in Cape Cod for the summer.
Did you see a lot of players that we are seeing in the majors today?
I saw Spencer Torkelson, who plays for the Tigers. He played for Chatham. The only current player that I know of that was on that Hyannis team that I called that's in the majors is Ryan Pepio. He did a couple starts for the Dodgers, I believe, this year.
Okay.
Outside of that, I don't think there's anyone that's gotten to the major leagues from that league entirely. Logan Davidson, I saw. He's in the minor league system. I believe he got drafted by the Atlanta Braves. I'm not 100% sure. But then there's a couple of guys that are in the minor leagues. But outside of Spencer Torkelson, I'd say that was probably the big guy. He was only there for 3 weeks, and then he played for Team USA.
What year?
This would have been 2018.
Oh, okay. So he didn't go to the Olympics.
No. He played for the collegiate USA baseball team.
Oh, okay. He didn't play Olympics.
He didn't play for the United States of America. No. But then I did a couple of years at home. I didn't do any summer collegiate baseball. I just did college during COVID. And then in 2021, I went to the Valley Baseball League with the Percival Cannons, which is in Virginia.
Oh, wow.
The Valley Baseball League is considered one of the oldest summer collegiate baseball leagues in all of summer collegiate baseball.
Where is it, in the Shenandoah Valley?
Shenandoah Valley, yep.
Okay,
yep.
So near Harrisonburg and.
Yep. So we played Harrisonburg. They play at James Madison University's baseball.
Right.
Field. which is beautiful. They have a beautiful turf stadium. It's beautiful.
Yeah, because I know Justin Verlander went to ODU
Okay.
in Norfolk.
Yes. So I spent a summer in Virginia, and now I'm back here. Not calling summer collegiate baseball this year, but hope to get into minor league baseball next year. So,
Like what level?
low A ball, short
Okay.
season, or all year.
I don't think short season exists anymore. I think they got
No.
rid of.
They got rid of short season entirely. Okay.
Yeah.
So low A
the
ball.
Penn League, the Appalachian League, those are gone, unfortunately. Yeah, because we had a team in the Appalachian League, the Johnson City Cardinals. We were pretty good.
Okay.
But yeah, when the Appalachian League was gone, they were gone.
Okay. But no, just hoping to one day get into minor league baseball.
Okay.
I do a lot of college stuff. So like Boston University, I've done things for MIT.
MIT has a baseball team.
MIT does. They have a softball team as well.
Are they good?
Yeah. The BU doesn't have a baseball team. They have a softball team, and their softball team is one of the greatest in New England.
I wonder if anybody from MIT has ever gone to the majors.
That's interesting.
I think
they're Division III, MIT.
Okay, but I think there was one guy went to the majors. I think he pitched for San Diego for a year or two.
Okay.
I think his last name was Lawrence. But yeah, he was one of the first players to ever go to the majors from MIT.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, my MIT's a prestigious university.
Yeah, I know.
Getting back to baseball, of course.
Please.
What are your kind of thoughts in the past 10 years? What I've noticed when I was a kid growing up to now, the game has kind of changed. You're not seeing as many guys, pitching wise. You're not seeing them go as long. You're seeing a lot more pitch counts and
which I don't like.
Other things like that. Do you believe that's because of the metrics, or you think that's just organization's philosophy?
I think it's more the organization's philosophy. I think they sign these guys and they think they're protecting them. They think they're coddling them. They're babying them. Why not just let them pitch? Why don't? I think one organization needs to go back to the way it was in the 60s and 70s. I mean, I liked that. I liked 300 innings and 20 wins a season and 300 strikeouts. I mean, your big strikeout players like Ryan and Randy Johnson and Roger Clemens and I don't know about John Smoltz, but those guys could reach 3,000 strikeouts in 10 years. Now, who knows? I don't know if we'll ever see 3,000 strikeouts again. I don't know if we'll ever see 300 game winner again. I think that may be a thing of the past, and it's unfortunate.
Another question I just have about the game today in general. Major League Baseball is going to put a lot of things into play next year in terms of shifts, and you have the situation with the relievers. You can't play the cat and mouse game anymore, where it's a lefty righty matchup and the guy puts in a lefty, so then the moving around of everything, you really can't do that anymore.
No.
As someone that has watched the game for a long time, is that something that frustrates you, or is that just something?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think there was one I saw today that if there had been no shift, I mean, it would have been a clean base hit. But because it was hit into the shift, I mean, I think the shift is detrimental to the quality of the game. I like hitting. I like pitching. I don't know. They're also putting in things like pitch clocks and that I don't mind so much. They're thinking about putting in the robo ump.
Yep.
What? I mean, what is that thing actually going to look like? I mean, are they going to have an actual robot out there? Or,
They've tested it, I guess, at the low minor league levels, and I guess it doesn't look very good.
No, I like the human element. I like the idea of an umpire calling balls and strikes. I mean, he may not always be right, but I mean, baseball isn't perfect. They're trying to make it perfect. It's not perfect. It has flaws.
Are you for replay? I am for replay personally.
Yeah, I kind of am because, I mean, I've seen a lot of plays over the years. I've seen a lot of plays over the years, and when they call a runner safe, and I would look at it and I would think that the runner was out. But no, I think replay's all right.
Yeah, I'm personally am all for replay. I think there's a lot of things, specifically in baseball, that they replay that I don't necessarily agree with. But it's just, I think Major League Baseball and all the professional leagues need to do a better job of owning up to their mistakes. So, for instance, a World Series Game 7 game, the team's down 1 run, the guy's at second, 2 outs, hits the ball up the middle, guy's running third, heading home. They call him safe, but he's out. Major League Baseball should be the ones to review it, not the team. Get it right.
Right.
It's about getting it right. And Major League Baseball, the National Football League, the NBA, all these leagues aren't doing it. They're making the teams review it.
No, they need to do it themselves.
And another thing, I don't mean to be putting on like a soapbox or anything like that, but and someone's brought it to my attention multiple times about the umpires. If I'm a player and I can't hit my own weight and I'm batting .210, I get sent down. If I'm an umpire and I make a bad call repeatedly through the whole year, nothing happens to me. I get to keep my job. I get to do what I want. In your opinion, do you think umpires need to be held more accountable for clear and obvious mistakes?
Yes.
Because they're supposed to be the best, right?
Yes, they are supposed to be the best. They need to get it right.
And a lot of the guys aren't. And I don't mean to pick on a guy right now, but Angel Hernandez, nothing has ever happened to him. He's never been suspended. He's never been sent down to the minor leagues to work on anything. He's had a whole career of constant mistakes.
And what about the guy that screwed Armando Galarraga out of his perfect game?
Joyce? Jim Joyce?
Yeah.
Yeah, he felt very remorseful, but I don't really care if you're remorseful or not. That's when replay wasn't a thing. You see, if replay was a thing then, it's done story.
Armando Galarraga would have had his perfect game.
Yes, and that would have been etched in the books forever.
Now it's etched in the books forever the other way.
Yes. Yeah, that, because of an umpire's clear and obvious mistake, he doesn't get it. I did have a couple more questions for you because you are a baseball historian, the Baseball Hall of Fame. One person's getting inducted this year, and it's David Ortiz. Do you believe the criteria needs to change? So, for instance, Curt Schilling, he didn't get into the Hall of Fame this year, and it's kind of a testy topic, and it's not something I really wanted to talk about today, but because I know you love baseball so much, I want to ask you. Curt Schilling, based on his baseball career, do you believe is a Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
Why isn't he in the Hall of Fame? Because of what he says on the internet?
That's part of it. I mean, another one, Roberto Alomar, when he spit on that umpire, Hirschbeck. He's lucky he got in.
Yes.
I mean, he did have the numbers, but look at what Juan Marichal, when he attacked John Roseboro with a baseball bat. That kept him out for a long time. I mean, there are things that can keep you out. I mean, some of the stuff Ty Cobb did over the course of his life, I'm surprised he wasn't kept out for a while. But then again, it's not. It's the Hall of Fame. It's not the Hall of Saints.
Yeah, you're right. Somebody did comment here. We did mention the no hitter earlier about the Houston Astros, and that's something that of course, as he mentions, it is pretty big news in baseball world today. The no hitter, the combined no hitter, the no hitter. I personally believe that yes, it was a no hitter. It was a combined.
It wasn't statistically speaking. It was a no hitter. I don't care how many pitchers it took to do it.
Can they put that in a separate category?
Yeah.
So combined no hitters and regular no hitters, I believe, need to be put into separate categories.
Yeah.
Because what happens is, guy pitches 1 inning. Oh, I have a no hitter.
Mm-hmm.
He gets credit for it when the 2 other guys behind him really are the ones that did it. But he should get credit for the combined, not the single.
And yes, that's correct. That should be a separate thing.
It should be, and it's not. It's currently all tied into no hitters.
Yeah, that's right. And then you have these range shortened no hitters and things like that.
The game should have to be complete. In my jurisdiction.
Yes, I mean to get credit for one guy to get credit for a no hitter, he needs to go all 9 innings. Although, I think when they had the 7-inning doubleheaders last year, I think Mad Bum pitched 7 no-hit innings.
Yes.
But that was part of a doubleheader. That should have an asterisk too.
Yes.
I mean, it's a no-hitter, but not a regular no-hitter. It's a special case.
On the topic of Madison Bumgarner, I know it's a new thing that they're doing in baseball. In between the half innings, they're checking the pitcher's hat, the pitcher glove. If they did that 20 years ago, the players would have gone nuts. Mm-hmm. I'm a bit surprised that there hasn't been more of a pushback on that. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
I'm surprised there hasn't, but I think one of the first pitchers that fell victim to that rule was one of ours, Giovanni Gallegos.
Yes.
He had some, I don't know what the hell he had, but the umpire checked it and didn't like it and didn't think it was kosher. And I don't know if I think he did actually suspend him.
Yes, I believe so. He did get suspended because of that, and then I think his actions afterwards. I don't know if he just walked off or I know the manager got pretty upset. That was Mike Schill.
Yeah.
When he was the manager there, which still I don't really understand why he lost his job, but because of, he didn't get along with the bosses, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is, but I don't think Ollie's doing a bad job.
No.
I think Ollie Marmol is doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, I think anytime you take over a new team, similar to what happens a lot with the Red Sox when they fire a manager and the new manager comes in the first year, they win a championship. In 2013 with John Farrell and then Alex Cora in 2018. I always find it interesting, for instance, Buck Showalter. He was out of the game for 3 or 4 years, and now he's the manager with the Mets, and he's done a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Based on, his 2 best arms being out. So I think that's really impressive. I think if the Mets win their division and go to the playoff, well, obviously if they win their division, they're going to go to the playoffs. Buck Showalter should be manager of the year.
Mm-hmm.
The job he's done so
far. Wait a minute. I think there's a guy in St. Louis that might have a thing or two to say about that.
He could. I also think if the Guardians get into the playoffs, could also Terry Francona, because
he used to be your manager at one point.
He was, yes, he was. He was a manager for a while for the Red Sox. I think 8 or 9 years he was the manager.
Didn't he win the 04 series with?
He did. He won 04 and 107, and then in 2012 we had the famous beer and chicken incident with John Lackey and Josh Beckett. And even though Josh Beckett had a great career with the Red Sox, he wasn't exactly well liked by the organization after he departed to Los Angeles.
John Lackey actually pitched for us for a
He did. He did. He pitched. I think it was the last time you guys played the Cubs in the playoffs.
Yep,
He pitched in that
15.
series.
15 he pitched for us, and then
The next year he pitched for them.
Yes. Yep. And then when they won the World Series and everything after that happened the way it happened.
Yeah, I don't get it. The Cubs have won their world championship now, but yet they still have this lovable loser tag. Why?
They ever since they won the World Series, it's kind of been downhill for them. They traded away all of their key pieces. They traded away Bryant, Baez,
Rizzo.
They traded everybody.
And wasn't Rizzo yours at one point?
So Rizzo started with the Red Sox, and then
I thought so.
He had cancer.
What?
He did, yes. And then the Red Sox, unfortunately, I don't know if they let him go or they traded him away. But then he was with the
Did he
Cubs
ever get
for
to
a
the
while.
majors with you guys? Or was he just in your
He
system?
ever played a single? He was in the system. I don't think he ever played a single game with the Red Sox, the Boston Red Sox.
Now, wasn't Jeff Bagwell yours at one point as well?
I wasn't alive when Jeff Bagwell began his professional career. Later in his career, I was alive.
Oh, so you were alive later in his career.
Yeah, I was born 96.
Okay.
So I think Bagwell began in the 90s at some point.
Okay. Yeah, I think he started in the Red Sox minor league system. I don't think he ever got to the majors with you guys.
No, I don't believe so. We've had a couple of guys. Manuel Margot, who's had a pretty successful career with the Rays.
Right.
He was with the Red Sox at one time. Nomar Garciaparra, of course. Traded him away in 04, who was a very good player for the Red Sox for a while. There's been a couple of guys that we've had. John Lester was one of my favorite pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
He was a Cardinal at one point as well.
Yes, he was just last year.
I think despite the Cubs because they didn't sign him forever.
Yeah, he got his 200th win with us.
Yeah, he was very good. He played for the Nationals for a while too. He had a very successful career.
That's where we got him from.
He was very good. There's been a lot of Red Sox guys that have been on the team. The only guy that I know of in my lifetime that we ended up getting rid of that ended up not panning out very well was Jacoby Ellsbury. He played for the Yankees. The injuries kind of derailed his career. He always had that problem in Boston, and I ultimately think that was one of the many reasons why they didn't sign him.
Oh, because he was hurt all the time?
It ended up biting the Yankees in the butt. After, I think, his second year as a Yankee, that's when his injury started to happen. Everything went downhill. And I believe they still owe him money to this day. I don't know if because he signed for like 8 or 9 years or something like that, which is a very long contract. And it ended up working out with the Red Sox.
Here's an interesting question. Why isn't Louis Tiant in the Hall of Fame?
Louis Tiant is in the Red Sox Hall of Fame. I know the Red Sox have tried to talk to the committee, and other people have tried. I think Louis Tiant, did he have a short career or a long career?
Midland, I think. I don't know. He had a fair to Midland career.
I feel like
he had some great years in the 60s with the Indians.
I feel like that the committee puts a lot of stock into world championships.
Mm-hmm.
He did not win one in Boston.
No, he
I don't know if he ever won one in his career.
No, he did not.
But I think the voters put a lot of stock into that. So, like, let's say Derek Jeter, great player for the Yankees, stand-up guy. But outside of his team winning if he never won a championship, he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I don't know. 3,000 hits. Yeah, you might be right.
I believe that the championships. I mean, Derek Jeter, don't get me wrong, he's a great player, great shortstop. Even though people say he wasn't, that's a bunch of crap. He was a great shortstop. But I think without his championships, I think he gets in the second try after the first ballot. He definitely is in. As a Red Sox fan, I'm surprised that David Ortiz got in as a first ballot Hall of Famer because a lot of people don't like David, and specifically a lot of the writers, because of the way sometimes he wasn't as forthcoming with the information. And then you have the whole thing with the 2003 drug test and everything else. So David Ortiz, one of the clutchest hitters in Red Sox history. I believe that he's the greatest Red Sox player. But
better than Ted Williams?
I think he's slightly better than Ted Williams.
Ooh.
Because Ted Williams never won a championship for the Red Sox.
Nope.
He's one of the greatest hitters in baseball history.
And I think he could have been greater if he hadn't lost time to World War II and Korea.
He played 20-something odd years. He played a long time.
Right, and he lost, I think, 3 or 4 seasons to World War II, and then he lost a couple of seasons to Korea.
He had a similar career to like a Babe Ruth. Played for a very long time.
Yep.
He played for a couple. He played for. Did he? I think he only played for the Red Sox.
Ted? Yeah.
Babe Ruth played for, began his career with the Orioles.
Well, no, the Baltimore.
Did he ever play a game with Baltimore?
They weren't yes, he did, but they weren't a major league team. He won.
Okay, they were an American.
They were international league. They were a minor league team.
And then he ended up signing with the Red Sox, and the Red Sox traded away to the Yankees, and then he played, I believe,
with the Braves,
odd games for the Boston Braves
in 35.
I think that would have been interesting if we had 2 baseball teams in Boston.
Still?
Yeah, I think it would be interesting. Because
are there any Braves fans left in Boston?
I have a hard time believing that if there are, they're in their 90s.
Yeah, I was going to say. So you don't have people in Boston still rooting for Atlanta? Well, you could.
Not that I know of. I know there's actually a lot of fans from Georgia down south that like the Red Sox. Yes. Yeah, the South is actually, there's quite a lot of Red Sox fans there.
Well, there's a lot of Cardinal fans there too.
Yeah, there's the Red Sox, the Dodgers, the Cardinals, the Yankees, the Cubs. I would say largely throughout the whole United States of America have probably the largest fan bases.
I'm surprised the Southerners would root for a team called the Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, that's, they're just based on them winning 28 championships. Everyone likes to hop on the bandwagon.
Yeah, of course.
That's where, no offense to Yankees fans who are listening, that's where a lot of your fans come from. A lot of the people just, they have the most championships. Let's go root for them. It's very similar to, the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Dallas Cowboys or the New England.
Yeah, they have the most championships. Let's go root for them.
In basketball, a lot
Celtics.
of people. The Celtics, the Lakers, the Bulls,
yep,
the Pistons, a lot of teams.
They've won the most championships. Let's go root for them.
Yeah, let's go root for them. So I find that interesting in baseball specifically. Baseball fans are a lot more regionalized, but you can find
you can
a fan anywhere.
I mean, I'm going to be out visiting my son in Colorado in a couple of weeks. And until the Rockies came along, the team of choice in Colorado was actually the Cardinals.
Why is that?
Well, because the Cardinals games are broadcast on a 50,000-watt radio station.
Oh, KMOX radio.
Yes.
Jack Buck.
Harry Carey. Yes. They coined the term Cardinal Nation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Cardinal, I used to live in Virginia when I was in the Navy.
Okay.
I could actually pick up Cardinal games at night.
Wow.
On KMOX.
Yeah, that's
I don't mean just some station. Like I don't mean I can pick them up on some station in Virginia.
Yeah, 40-something odd states. Is it all 50 states now?
Yeah.
You can get it. Yeah, it's amazing.
I think you can get them faintly in Alaska. I don't know about Hawaii though.
Wow.
But I think you can actually get them faintly in Alaska.
Well, now that you got iPhones and everything, you can get a game anywhere.
Oh yeah.
But I think that was cool because I know at one time going back, in the baseball time machine, that there was 3 baseball teams in New York.
Yep.
And then when the Dodgers in San Francisco left for California. And correct me if I'm wrong. Brooklyn left first, then the Giants left second.
That is correct.
Okay.
Well, the running joke in Brooklyn was, you have a gun with 2 bullets, and you're in a room with Hitler, Stalin, and Walter O'Malley. Who do you shoot?
Walter O'Malley.
Twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is still the running joke in Brooklyn.
Because obviously the Mets are there now. They've been there since, I believe, the 60s.
62.
62.
They came out the same year I did.
Okay. So when the Dodgers went to Los Angeles, Dodger Stadium wasn't built yet, and they played at the Coliseum, correct? Yep. The LA Coliseum.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, you guys played the Dodgers there in an exhibition game a few years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was before the season, but yeah, you did.
Oh. And then the Giants, they played where the 49ers played, right?
No, they played in a place called Seals Stadium. It was the
that was the San Francisco Seals minor league baseball team.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one the DiMaggio brothers first played for.
Okay.
All 3 of them. Because you guys had a DiMaggio, and the Yankees had a DiMaggio, and I think the Boston Braves had a DiMaggio.
Going back to when we were talking about Roger Maris, I remember seeing the movie 61.
Yeah, so do I. I love that movie.
They talked about, they weren't going to count the record because they only played 150-something odd games when Babe Ruth was playing.
But
they had the 162 of everything.
Babe Ruth didn't have to play at night. Babe Ruth didn't have to play on the West Coast.
Yeah. Do you believe that Maris' record should still be there, just based on the fact that they played more games?
Yeah, a season is a season.
Yeah. Of course, Mark McGwire ended up breaking it.
With 70.
Mark McGwire.
Then Barry Bonds broke that.
Then Barry Bonds broke that. 2 guys that somewhat had a tainted career because of steroids.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's that's a great sports movie. My favorite baseball movie of all time is Field of Dreams.
Yes, mine too.
That and 8 Man Out,
which
with Charlie Sheen.
And he was also in Major League.
Yeah, he played the guy with what did they
Wild Thing.
Yeah. That was a good one. We've covered a lot of topics today.
Mm-hmm.
We've gone around the whole. Because we're going to be doing the show weekly, what are some of the topics that you would like to talk about? Because you have all of this knowledge, and I have a good amount of knowledge, but of course you've watched the game much longer than I have. What are some of the things you kind of want to talk about?
Baseball movies. I mean, anything. I liked the Ken Burns series.
So I haven't seen a lot of them because they don't show a lot of them on TV anymore.
No, I think you have to buy them on DVD.
You got to buy them, all of them.
I was fortunate enough to be able to download them onto my hard drive.
Oh, okay.
I got them on Amazon, and I didn't buy them on Prime. I bought them on Instant Video.
Okay.
So I downloaded all 9 innings on my hard drive.
Wow.
So I've got them.
Yeah, that is good.
That's the thing. I can take. I'm talking to you off my computer. I can take this thing anywhere in the entire civilized world and watch a baseball game.
Yeah.
I could conceivably take this thing to the North Pole and watch a baseball game.
Yeah, you can watch it anywhere. There's only a couple of countries that you're not allowed to watch baseball games in.
Oh, really?
Professional sports in. Like this, on your laptop, you have to, go through, you have to buy a service or whatever it is. And I've always find that interesting. You think about baseball in other countries, back, 20 years ago, you couldn't watch any baseball game you want. Now you can, but back then you couldn't. It was the Cardinals, the Dodgers, the Yankees, maybe the Red Sox. You know, and it would be very minimal selection. You'd only have 2 or 3 games you could watch a week, and that was it.
I mean, baseball is actually catching on in Australia. I mean, I'd like to talk sometimes about baseball in the Olympics.
I like that. That's a good idea.
Baseball in the Olympics. I like the World Baseball Classic. I mean, I think that's coming back to us in a couple of years. Or no, I think next year, I think is the next World Baseball Classic.
I actually enjoyed the Olympics last year. I thought that was really cool.
So did I.
And the weird thing is a lot of the guys that played in it were minor leaguers.
Some of them were major leaguers. I think
major leaguers now, like Todd Frazier. He was a longtime Major League Baseball player.
Edwin Jackson, who pitched for the Cardinals.
Edwin Jackson seemed like he played for all 30 teams.
Yeah,
He played like 16 teams or something like that.
13, I think it was. But anyway, really cool. I know the next Olympics, they're not going to have baseball.
Okay.
Paris 2024, they are not having baseball.
Was that just a one-time thing? Baseball?
No, because I think it's coming back to the Olympics again, the next 2 Olympics after Paris.
Okay.
So LA 28 and Brisbane 20 and Brisbane 32. Those 2 Olympics will actually have baseball again.
So last question I had for you before we retire for the evening.
All right.
Based on the baseball, the World Baseball Classic. So a couple of years ago, they started doing it in March.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the guys that would play for their respective countries would have to get ready earlier. And they're playing full tilt in the World Baseball Classic. There's no spring training. There's no warming up.
Yep, we are. The United States is actually the reigning champion.
Yes. A pitcher that normally starts getting ready after the new year, then goes to spring training in late February, starts throwing March, gets 2 or 3 starts, pitches 3 innings the first one, 4, and then 5, and then your last start, you pitch 6, 7, 8 innings, whatever. How long they go, you empty out the tank. When you play in the World Baseball Classic, as soon as you get there, you're right in.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think if you were a player, would you miss that opportunity knowing maybe I can get myself hurt later on in the year? I want to play for my country. I want to represent my country.
Same here. I want to represent my country.
I think that there's a lot of guys that don't play for Team USA because they're afraid they're going to get hurt.
Right. But if I were a player and I had the opportunity to do that, I would represent my country.
Okay.
I think a lot of these NBA players that don't want to play in the Olympics, I think they're prima donnas. I think they should, if they have an opportunity to represent their country, they should do so.
Because that's something that's forever. You win a medal, regardless of what the medal is, that's forever.
That's right.
You're put into, it's like winning a World Series. That's forever.
Mm-hmm. They can't take that away from you.
They can try, but they've tried. They've tried to take away multiple.
I mean, I have on my left hand, I have a replica. It's only a replica, mind you. It's a replica of a 1964 Cardinal World Championship ring. But my point is that once you get that ring, that is yours.
Yeah.
That cannot be taken away from you unless you auction it off. But
yeah, of course, yeah.
A lot of people are doing that. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. It is. I don't really get that. But all right, Parker, thank you very much.
You're welcome very much. I enjoyed it.
Doing this every week, and we'll be back next Saturday. You guys have a good rest of the day.
Thank you. You do the same.